Hello, lovely to speak with you.
Andrew, very, very nice to catch up. So, thank you for coming along tonight. And what I wanted to do first, I'm quite late to the Clive de Carle fan club. I hope you don't mind me saying that, but I like what you're doing, and I've watched quite a lot of your stuff lately, and I really like it. And I like the idea of your the secret health club and some of the things that you do on your website and your shop and things like that. So I want to find out about you for myself, but also for the people who are watching. So this has been syndicated out as we are chatting. They'll be joining, so we'll chew the fat a little bit while people join because they get the alerts, as you know, and then they start to join, and then it's been syndicated out to a few groups, and then people will watch the recording after the event as well, and they can catch up in their own time. So hopefully they're grabbing a beer and a bottle of wine and a glass of wine and getting ready to put their feet up and sit and watch us two chatting away. So Clive, for myself, tell me, how did you manage to get into what you're doing now? A sort of quick history fly through of where you've been and what you've done to get you to where you are now.
Okay, when I was 10, I got introduced to John Lennon, and I believed everything that he was saying, that war was going to end and peace would reign and revolution was here. And I got very disappointed when it didn't happen, but it did set me up in a way of thinking. And I was working in London, and I took an antibiotic, just one, and it was a big mistake. And a few months later, I'd got so ill that I could no longer walk or get dressed even. I couldn't get out of bed, and they put me in hospital. I had arthritis ridiculously badly. I got type 1 diabetic, all whole host of things. And they told me in hospital there was no chance of a recovery. And obviously they were wrong. And I reversed all the arthritis. I've still got the type 1, unfortunately. But aside from that, I'm fine 35 years later. And I realized that doctors know next to nothing about health,
Hmm.
if not nothing. 5 years of study at medical school, 4 hours of being taught health. You'd think they'd learn about cures and causes of disease and stuff and nutrition, but they don't.
Hmm.
Really, when you see the doctor, what they really should be saying is, hello, nice to meet you. There's absolutely no way I can cure you, but I can drug you if that's all right. Or we can cut bits of you out.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
yeah. Well, it's unreal. I mean, I've had a couple of experiences of that myself. Years ago, in Glasgow. Glasgow's quite a. We were talking earlier about Glasgow. Glasgow's quite a tough town, Clive. So I was in a fight at school and I punched a guy and broke my pinky. And the doctor, when it healed, the doctor said to me that that was the way my pinky was going to be forever. He said that's as good as it gets. And I was like, I'm not. I was about 14 or 15. I said I'm not prepared to accept that. And he said no. He said that's probably. He said your pinky will hang like that forever. The way it's. I said no. That's not good enough for me. And if you look, no problems. You know, and that's happened a couple of times, and that one experience was enough for me to say I'm not listening to them. I'm not accepting it. And see the amount of people that they must say that to. They give them the death knell that they're finished. Go home and live out the last 4 weeks of your life and things like that. And who are they to say? So yeah, I can totally resonate with what you're saying there. I think it's mind over matter, isn't it? And the desire to heal yourself, I suppose.
Well, it's outrageously powerful, the human mind. Um, Let me give you a couple of examples. There's been experiments done with placebos, and the most famous one perhaps being with the knee operation. They had about 200 people who all needed the same knee operation, and with 100 of them, they did the real operation. The other 100, they wheeled them into the operating theatre, they anaesthetized them, and then instead of doing the real operation, what they did was they cut the knee so that neither group could know who'd had the operation. They both had the cut.
Hmm.
And they played the videos of somebody else's operation. They had all the staff there because people do come out of anaesthetic very slightly to check if
Right.
everything's all right and then go back
Right.
down again.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
So neither group knew who'd had the real operation, who got better, quicker, faster, the ones that hadn't had the operation but thought they had.
Amazing.
I had a client some years ago now who at that point I just bought 4 frequency devices, and I was really, really pleased to have 4, super powerful. And I
Is this your
explained to them,
Tesla stuff that you've got?
this particular one was Rife technology, but now I tend to use Tesla technology much more. Anyway, an hour later, after the treatment, all his problems are gone. He's out of pain. His thinking has suddenly become clear and his eyesight's improved. And he's thrilled. And I glance over and I realize I forgot to turn the machines on.
This is the thing, that the mind is a very powerful thing, and I think that's what this government has been playing on. They understand the human mind better than anybody. They've studied it.
It's, I spent quite a long time studying hypnosis and how to speak in a powerful way. And you read the speeches that a lot of these politicians make, and they've been crafted
Oh yeah,
by somebody who's very, very good at persuasive language.
yeah. And that is the scary thing, that really they are just paid actors, aren't they? They're standing up there reading from a teleprompter and getting applause or credit. We've got Nicola Sturgeon in Scotland. She's a great example of it. Very, very polished. To the untrained eye, credible, good politician to the untrained eye. To the trained eye, horrible, absolutely horrible. It's disgusting to see and to know what she's actually doing and how she does it. It's really scary. So from there, Clive, so how did you educate yourself and what other jobs have you done that you feel have maybe helped you get to where you've got to now? I've lost your sound for some reason.
That was me, sorry. I ran a lie detector company for a while as sort of a side
Right.
issue. At that point, I
Interesting.
had an organic farm, and a friend of mine was the editor of part of the Evening Standard newspaper in London. And I
Hmm.
read this article he'd written about a lie detector that was the size of a cigarette packet, and you could just hold it to the radio or to anybody, and it would analyze their speech and would tell you if they were lying or not. And at that point, I thought this was great. You could tell whether politicians were lying or not, and so on. So I rang him up and said, "This is fantastic. I want to buy one." And he said, "Oh, I got £900 for that." I said, "What do you mean?" So no, I made the story up. It's fiction, but they paid me 900 quid, as they normally do for fake stories. And anyway, but my mind got around this thing of a little lie detector, and I thought, well, it's got to be possible. So I wasn't actively looking, but I was looking. 14 days later, I'm reading Uncut magazine, and there is an article about a lie detector, except this time it's a real version. And it was invented by this Israeli guy, young, like 21-year-old, 22-year-old guy who'd seen a cafe bombing and this woman with a dead baby. And he had this thought that he could create a lie detector to ask one question only: are you a terrorist? That was his idea. And his dad just happened to be head of mathematics at some university in Israel. And so I just knew that this was an interesting product. So I flew out to Israel to meet the guy. And obviously, as all Israelis are, they all work for the secret services and stuff. They're all spies. And anyway, I thought it would change the world, but I was wrong about that, really. But I learned a lot about human beings by using it. And the first thing that shocked me, I was expecting so many people to say, wow, a lie detector, that's a brilliant idea. It works on a telephone. That's incredible, right? And it didn't just tell whether you were lying. You could tell all sorts of whether somebody was uncertain, or, you could tell real quite nuances of what people were on about. Anyway, I found that almost everybody I showed it to hated it. They said, that's horrendous. That's terrible. And I suddenly woke up to the fact that how many people are living a lie, and that
Yeah.
the idea that there'd be a lie detector that their wife or husband might use on them was horrendous because they were living this life of a lie. And I must have been very naive, but I was a bit shocked by that. But then there were a few people who agreed with me and thought it was a really good idea. In the end, we sold most of them to insurance companies, and banks were very interested. But then the government got interested, the UK government, and at that point, I really wanted to back away from it big time. But it was interesting. The insurance company thing was interesting. They were the ones who wanted it not to catch anybody, because they don't want to catch anybody. If they caught somebody, that might go to court and people would figure out how the insurance frauds were done. What they want to do is not pay you.
Yeah, of
So
course. Yeah.
what we had was a script and the technology. So within about 3 minutes of a conversation with a fraudster, somebody who was trying to defraud the insurance company, we'd have them in a corner,
Yeah.
and we'd have them. And a boss of one big insurance company told me that more Rolex watches are stolen every year than had been made in the history of the factory ever.
Yeah.
So the moment somebody says they're claiming for a Rolex watch, that's automatically rings big alarm bells.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what used to happen was that we'd get them to the stage where the insurance person would say, well, look, you realize what's happening here is very, very serious, don't you? And I have to send this to a higher authority, but my boss is away right now. I'm going to give you their name and telephone number and ring them in the morning. And you
Give
can
them a
always
chance
hear the
to.
sigh of relief where they
Yeah.
think, well, if I didn't ring, and that was all they wanted. They just wanted you to go away and not claim any money.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. So you moved on from that business. When did you get into the health side? What made you start your career? Would you say that's your career in health now? That's you. I know you're full time health
Yeah,
health
no, that's
advisor.
a
Is that right?
full-time thing.
Yeah.
What happened was, I started a contact lens company and I ended up selling it. And suddenly I didn't need to work anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that I'd study health because I realized that so many people like I'd been, almost died. I realized that a lot of people were in the same boat. What I really wanted to do is to change things on the geopolitical level with a sort of non-peaceful John Lennon type view outlook. But I realized that was never going to happen because people weren't listening to a word I said. So I thought, well, if I can make people well, then they'll listen to what I've got to say.
Yeah.
And because I'd sorted my own health problems out, and I had enough money, I just had the time to study. And I studied relentlessly, which was really enjoyable. And then somebody said one day, well, you should give talks. So I started giving talks, and I started a supplement company. And then people started getting better, just like I'd done. And people who've been told, you've got a terminal disease, you're going to die, it's hopeless, you'll be in pain the rest of your life, and all that stuff. Well, actually, they're just a few supplements, not that many. I reckon there are 12 really important supplements.
Yeah.
And if you have some of those 12, the chances are that 90% of the reason most people have to go to hospital, for instance, that we could empty the hospitals.
Yeah.
With a few supplements, not much money, you could pretty much empty them.
Yeah. Do you think, obviously, the soil over the years has been depleted of a lot of the natural minerals and the good stuff that we'd normally get out of the soil? And you said going back, you had an organic farm at some point. Do you think eating good organic food and following that path, you still need supplements, or do you think that you could eat sort of supermarket processed food and use supplements and be a healthier person or as healthy? What do you think is the best combination, or do you still need supplements no matter what?
Well, I mean, when I was young, wheat was, let's say, 6 foot tall. Then they hybridized it down to dwarf wheat, changed the genetic structure of wheat, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people started getting ill with that. Then they started spraying glyphosate, the herbicide, lots more people got ill. All the gluten thing, gluten's not the problem, it's the herbicide that tends to gather in the gluten that's it.
Yeah.
Then, when I was young, there's the wheat, 6 foot high. They'd take the wheat grains off, then they'd set fire to the field and burn it all to the ground, putting all the minerals back in.
Mm-hmm.
Then the stupid EU made it illegal. So now they take all the stuff they should have burned with all the
Mm-hmm.
minerals in it and take it somewhere else and dump it. So every year, the fields are having less and less nutrients in them to the
Mm-hmm.
point now where most food is only growing because they sprayed it with NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, minerals to make, because that'll make a plant grow. But plants need about 99 minerals, not just 3.
Mm-hmm.
So most people are poisoning themselves. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
unless the food you're eating, unless you know where it comes from, basically. I mean, I had an organic farm for 10 years. How often did they come around to check I was doing it right? Never.
So
Right?
you
I'm
could
not
have
saying
been,
that.
yeah, but
I
you
could have
were
been doing
you
it
were
my
playing by
life.
the rules. Yeah.
Could have been doing anything I liked. And I mean, to put a kind face on it, I mean, imagine you were a small farmer and suddenly your crop's going to be wiped out. That means you're going to have to sell the farm, you know, do whatever you have, you're going to lose your income. What would you do? Some people might be tempted to cheat at that point to
Mm-hmm.
save their livelihoods.
Yeah.
So on one
Because
level,
people wouldn't notice if they got one harvest of non-organic food that they thought they were buying organic. You wouldn't notice. It's really you're just going to eat it anyway and assume it's organic. You're going by the label.
but there are lots of crooks around. I was, my farm was in Spain, and one of the things we had a few trees of were olives. And so I looked at the olive oil market in Europe, and it turned out that Italy was selling 10 times more organic olive oil than they were growing.
Yeah.
How's that possible?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just not.
Well, this is it, isn't it? I sometimes, and I'm a trusting guy, to an extent, but I sometimes look at Tesco and some of these soulless organisations, Clive, and I think, is organic really organic, and am I getting what I think I'm paying for? Because I'm paying more money for it, and it's quite a noticeable difference sometimes. Don't get me wrong, this is the old me who used to buy off Tesco. Now, with our Awaken Pages hat on, we are looking to move our household budgets away from these soulless organisations. And we've got a wee saying, every pound is a protest pound. A lot of the people in our groups are from protest movements and we're not happy with what's going on. But this is a way to economically protest. It's a counter-economic strategy. It's a conscientious consumerism, Um, so we do want to get to a stage where we have the choices available through our directory and through our network, where everything that you buy from the Amazons, the McDonald's, the Starbucks, the Tesco's, Asda's, Airbnbs, Deliveroos, you can get through Awakened or local businesses. And I think if there's enough people doing that, it creates a real counterpunch economically to the powers that be. Which gets me back to this question. Knowing where your product comes from and knowing what the ingredients that are in it and knowing perhaps the people who make it. In our directory, we have that as well, where you can meet the owner who's going to make the gift for your wife's birthday and things like that. There's a little video there. You can meet the owner. So it's a much more personal experience, which is what's missing, Clive. People, it takes 2 seconds to order something from Amazon. But is that really where we've got to, that your wife's birthday gift arrives in with 2 seconds worth of clicks? Should we not be making a bit more effort than that and putting a bit more soul into our purchases and our transactions and getting back to a sensible normal? So that idea, I was looking up earlier, the concept of victory gardens, back to organic farms and, knowing where your food came from. If your food comes from your own garden, you know where it came from. You know what you put on it. You can't be told it's something else when it's not. You know if it's organic or not. 40% of all the UK's food used to come out of Victory Gardens in the USA. Most countries in the world, 40% of all the food come out of those gardens. How did they manage to tear that knowledge away from us? Do you think that we became addicted to buying from them and letting them put food on our family's table and trusting them with what goes into our bodies?
Well, it's just ease, wasn't it? I mean, my grandfather grew all his own food, or the majority of it, and my dad's now 96, having grown up on that food,
Yeah,
and I took him out to the pub the other day. He's doing fine.
yeah, that's
It's
great. And
so
it's
so
unusual, it's really unusual now, and still got all these factories still in good shape.
yeah, no, all there mentally. And he was brought up, on that homegrown food. During the Second World War, people were healthier than any other time in the whole century. But the thing is that then they were growing food that had seeds in.
Hmm.
Cucumbers were bent, and they had big viable seeds that you could dry out and plant the next year,
Absolutely.
as did grapes and lemons and oranges and what have you. And over the years, everything's become seedless. Now imagine you had a seedless animal. A seedless bull is useless,
Hmm.
right? And we're eating seedless vegetables, seedless fruits.
Hmm.
And they're so far away from nature that, well, we eat a head of broccoli. Well, your great grandfather probably wouldn't have recognized that, because broccoli didn't come in big, great things like that. A couple of
Yeah.
100 years ago, nobody would have recognized a carrot because they used to be purple.
Hmm.
I think food has changed dramatically, particularly in the last year, in the last 5 years, in the last 10 years. It's been going on for 150 years. Food
Yeah.
started going wrong in 1851, I would say, is the big marking point, when the first seed oil was produced and people were told they could use it for cooking. And our ancestors ground seeds between big stones, and out came cold pressed, sort of stone ground
Hmm.
healthy oils. But now, with like 20-ton ram presses and heating the oil up so every last drip comes out, it's coming out poisoned. So pretty much every bottle of oil that you buy in the supermarket is going to be bad for you. And people forget or don't know that their brain is made of water and cholesterol. Your brain is fat. So all those poor people now with Alzheimer's and dementia, they probably believe that whole low fat lie. And now
Yeah.
they've got Swiss cheese for brains. We've been so fooled. Really, pretty much everything, as you know, pretty much everything everybody believes,
So
apart from in your sort of circle, my circle, they've all been lied to. They went sent to the government indoctrination camp and fed with lies, and then they watch the news on a daily basis just to keep up with the madness. There's zombies out there.
And it's very important, for you take your own father there yourself. I mean, you look fit and healthy. I'm assuming you're. I'm not even going to guess at your age, Clive, because I'm terrible at guessing the age. But you've got a 96-year-old dad, and he's doing well. So, and you're looking good. You look very, very healthy. You've got into the sort of supplement game, okay? Which is a very, very, very important space, I think, because that while people don't grow their own food that they can trust, and while they don't all buy organic, then they're not getting the nutrients in their body, and a lot of the health issues that they've got are being, you know, masked by the pills that these doctors and the NHS are going to give them. Not a bad thing that we've been denied NHS service right now. You know, for many of us, some things are meant to be. Is this a fork in the road where we have a chance to en masse move to fixing ourselves more naturally, do you feel?
Well, I mean, look at it this way. Let's say we went down to the local zoo, and the vast majority of the animals were ill, limping around with arthritis. They got type 2 diabetes. They've got all these problems. What would be the first thing you'd say to the person running the zoo?
Mhm.
You'd probably say, "What the hell are you feeding these animals?"
Yeah.
So that's what's happened to us. Everybody's ill because they're eating food that is either poisoned or just empty. So, in answer to your earlier question, I always buy organic. I never go into places like Deathco.
Yeah,
You have to forget
yes,
the
go.
list.
Good. Yep.
You don't want to go to Deathco. Even Waitrose. People wonder why they get fat because their weight rises. Well, they went to Waitrose, and that's what happened.
They're weight right.
Anyway, the unfortunately, we have to supplement these days to get back to where we would have been 150 years ago or so. And it's so simple as to which supplements everybody needs. Can I sort of run through them?
Yes, and would you mind, is this a good point for me to put your website up to look at as well? So I'll put the website up, and so you're muted just now if you wanted to come back in, Clive.
Yeah. So the first supplement I ever decided to sell is a soil-based mineral supplement called fulvic minerals. And fulvic minerals are just from the soil. If you went out to the old forest and you just dug down and you got some soil up from the old forest, you might really, all life is there in the forest. Everything that's lived or died is in the forest floor. So there are certain deposits in the world which are super rich of these minerals. Have you seen? There's a fantastic BBC program of goats climbing an almost vertical dam,
Yes, I've
hundreds of
seen that.
feet
Yep.
up, to lick the rocks. That's because minerals were coming out of those rocks. And there are a few places in the world where that happens. And the mine where these minerals come from is like a half-mile square of land where something must have happened there. Maybe a volcano went off and trapped things in a bog, or who knows. But they reckon this deposit is about 30 million years old. And supposedly, 30 million years ago, things were bigger and there were 4 times more species. So how I found fulvic minerals, I was studying cancer survivors in China and what they were doing, and I discovered fulvic minerals that way. And I sent off all over the world to try some, and it did zero for me. And then instead of the bottles that had been arriving, a teeny tiny bottle turned up, and the next morning I felt like a different person. It had changed me. It was amazing. And I started giving it to my clients, and people were having great effects. Not everybody, but surprising number of people. And it's very inexpensive. It doesn't cost very much. And so that was the first one because it had an effect on me. Then the second one that I introduced was magnesium because that was primarily what fixed my arthritis. Arthritis is primarily calcifications, the growths on people's joints. A calcium buildups, and people also get calcium buildups of their arteries and pineal gland. And anyway, magnesium dissolves calcium.
I
So
like that. I'm a salesman, Clive. I'm a sales and marketing guy. I like the power of words, and I've tried magnesium, and it probably wasn't the best stuff. You'd probably laugh at it, but it has sat really, really well with me, and I'm going to get some more because we're talking. It's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. But see that the most important mineral that just
yeah,
works
yeah,
for that just works for me instantly, and probably quite a few other people as well. Something that you take that's really, really important for your body. You're not getting it from your food. You can supplement it, and you can get all the benefits. So please sort of wrap on about the benefits of magnesium, because I'm not too
yeah.
clear on what they are, but I know it's a
Okay.
powerful supplement.
Okay, well, the easiest way is for me to run through what the deficiency of magnesium looks like.
Okay.
So I'll run through a number of things, and your listeners can see whether they've got one of these problems or more than one. So if you're magnesium deficient, you might have heart arrhythmia, where your heart's beating out of rhythm. You might have constipation. You might have sleep problems. You might have anxiety, even panic attacks. You might be suicidally depressed or just depressed. You might have had a heart attack at some point. You might find you're getting twitches around the eyes. You might find women might get menstrual cramps. Some people might wake up in the morning and stretch and get a cramp in their foot or in the backs of their legs. Some people get restless leg, where their leg kicks out. There are a number of other issues with magnesium deficiency, but a lot of people have got one of those issues, or occasionally get hiccups, for example. Spasms are magnesium deficiencies. A lot of people who have well, all sorts of happiness-related issues and energy. Maybe 30% of your energy comes from magnesium. It's right across the board.
Yeah.
So pretty much everybody at some point has probably had a muscle cramp.
It's kind of brain fog, kind of brain fog thing as well. Would it help with that? A lot of people are suffering from that, or the
Well,
lack of a.
brain fog is usually an iodine deficiency, and we'll talk about iodine next if you like.
Yeah.
But the thing with magnesium is to understand that not all magnesium is created equal. Now, obviously, that's the same with all supplements. There are different versions and different qualities and different strengths. So when I recovered from my arthritis, I was taking maybe 2 magnesiums a day, or maybe 2 twice a day. But I now realize that actually there are some people who initially, to get them from really low back to at least normal, might need 12 magnesium capsules a day. And if you go into the average store that sells health products, and you look for the bottle of magnesium, it says magnesium in big letters, the chances are they'll sell you the wrong one. The cheap magnesium they generally try to sell you as magnesium oxide, and that one will fix your constipation, but it won't really help with any of the other issues because it's not sufficiently bioavailable. But the version I sell has got 4 different types of magnesium, all of them very bioavailable. And the results that some people get are immediate. If somebody was having a heart attack and they got rushed into the emergency room, what would they do? Well, probably the first thing they'd do would be inject you with magnesium, water-soluble version like magnesium sulfate, straight in, stop a heart attack in seconds. So if you're at home and somebody was having a heart attack, let's say you had the liquid version, you could just rub that into their chest area around the heart. It works incredibly fast. If somebody was having a muscle cramp and they rub the liquid magnesium in, within seconds the muscle cramp's going to end, whereas perhaps normally it might have been a couple of minutes, for example. But why are we all low on magnesium? Apart from the fact it's not in the soil, as it used to be, stress burns up magnesium. And we are all incredibly stressed, obviously, these days, everybody.
Whether you like to admit it or not.
Exactly. So almost everybody's running low on magnesium. And so, why are a lot of people very, very nervous, very, very worried about what's going on in the world? I mean, with good reason, but it's partly because they've burnt out their magnesium. And, there's a difference between a challenge and a problem. And, with enough magnesium, problems tend to be more like challenges. But you asked about brain fog. So just like everybody's low on magnesium, pretty much, everybody's low on
Can I just quickly ask one? So tell me the difference there, Clive, because I don't mind going into, and without taking too much away from the things we're going to talk about tonight, but I don't mind diving deep on maybe one product like magnesium, just so that we can do a deep dive into one, and then and how your product works compared to, for example, I've got there's the Amazon that people might normally go to, and you look at all the different types of magnesium there. So that's the same thing, you know, 300 milligrams magnesium caps, you know, veggie, 18.99, 32 quid, 72 quid. What are people buying? You see a box of pills with the word magnesium on it. I need magnesium, and you buy it. But as you say, you're not getting the right kind for the right reasons, and you're not taking the right dose. How does yours compare, or how would we do a comparison, apples against apples, with an array of products like that? What is the difference?
Yeah, I mean, why I started a supplement company was because of the difficulty of trying to work out what's good, and so on. I mean, for instance, you mentioned 300 milligrams there. Now,
Mm-hmm.
that's a very low dose. The biggest capsules you can get are usually around 700,
Mm-hmm.
something like that, that aren't like horse pill size, you know. And so my ones, I think, are between 600 and 700. I can't quite remember. So those ones at 300 are half what they could be size wise. So if people took two of those, that would be equivalent of taking one of mine.
Mm-hmm.
But some people need to take four a day. Some
Mm-hmm.
people need to take 6, 8, 10, 12 a day. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's different. But so let's say that you choose a version that's not bioavailable and it's a small quantity. So many people say to me, "Oh, well, I tried magnesium and it worked a little bit, but not much, or something."
Well,
That's
one of the viewers has just said, "I have a cupboard full of magnesium and it never worked," and I totally get that. But that's probably a classic example of that as well. It'd be nice to get that viewer buying some of your magnesium and seeing if it makes a difference to them. But again, that's up to them. But you know what I
well,
mean? It's nice to test it.
yeah. So again, they could write in and say what type of magnesium it is that they've been trying and how many they tried and what the strength was.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because magnesium almost always works magic. It's incredible. I mean, inexpensive. You don't have to pay vast quantities of money for the stuff. It's the big answer. It you know everybody's low on it, and I mean, I would have been dead without it. I
Yeah.
mean, as simple.
Yeah. So you would say that everybody's low on it, stress is burning it up, the body needs it. So the body's trying to function, but it's not got what it needs. And this government and our health service probably know that as well. Other than that, if this was all about health, they would be addressing that issue, wouldn't they?
Well, the American government back in 1936 or something said then that all American soils were now depleted to such a level that nobody could be healthy in America. That was 90 years ago or something. And
Mm-hmm.
so the soils have been messed up for a very long time, and magnesium is one of the prime culprits to have gone, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing is for people not to buy poisoned food. That is vital. So I would always buy organic food, even if I wasn't 100% sure it really was, because we've got to uphold our principles of not feeding our family poison. You know, if
Yep.
if you had you got a new, say you got a 1-year-old baby, how much poison do you want to feed it? Well, none. But
Exactly.
most people with a 1-year-old baby are unwittingly poisoning it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there are many children in the world who are brought up on soya milk, and so they can't have babies. There are people now eating soya products, thinking it's healthy, thinking it's good and vegan. They don't realize what they're doing to their whole hormonal system. There are people who are
Mm-hmm.
not filtering their drinking water. There are people who are unaware that if they buy a packet of bread that has the words flour improver, that's bromine. And bromine, just like chlorine, just like fluoride, depletes iodine in the body. And without iodine, we have problems maybe like dry skin, have problems like fuzzy thinking, brain fog, walking into a room and forgetting why you walked in. People without enough iodine have problems like thyroid issues. Anybody who's on levothyroxine almost certainly they just have an iodine deficiency. People who have temperature issues, they're wearing socks in bed, cold hands and feet, temperature out of control, hot, menopausal women type, hot problems, iodine deficiency.
Mm-hmm.
And again, just like magnesium, it's everybody. Everybody. And I mean, there you're looking at a year's supply. 20 quid
Right.
will last you a year.
Yeah.
You know,
And these are the things people don't know. I mean, everybody's looking for that miracle cure. I mean, I know you've had it where you tried the other thing you were talking about earlier, and I forgot the name. I've got a bit of brain fog. I need some iodine.
but
Um,
you do need some fulvic minerals, maybe.
the fulvic minerals, yeah. And you tried different ones, but you kept going and you persevered, and you get a small bottle, and it worked magically on you. That everybody wants that experience, Clive. If people thought they could get that, they'd cut down trees. And this is about. I mean, even that 20 quid a year's supply, if it has a good positive effect on you and your family, why not? Why not? Indeed, it's throwaway money to put something good in your body that it actually needs. Really, really important conversation this to. And how do you take iodine? I mean, how do you actually?
Drops in water,
Yeah.
just drops in water, and I can explain more. In the chat, somebody's asked, they'd be interested to know how Clive's magnesium compares to Cytoplans, the
Mm-hmm.
original food state company.
Right.
So let me tell you, some 10 years ago, longer, I rang up Cytoplans MD and
Mm-hmm.
I said, this food state thing's a con. And they said, what do you mean? And I said, well, you, you, for instance, got broccoli powder in a supplement which then has a non-food state mineral complex in it. And when they say food state, they're allowed to legally get away with it because they put in broccoli powder as a filler or whatever the filler might be, so that but most of their minerals are just not food based, like everybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very unhappy with that particular company. So anyway, I'll probably get sued for saying that. I hope not. But there's a lot of dishonesty in
Mm-hmm.
the health food business,
And
unfortunately.
this is, I mean, interestingly, we've spoke about lie detectors, and it's an interesting sort of segue back. People are human lie detectors deep down, or gut instinct. What does your gut tell you? I've watched some of your videos, Clive. I've listened to what you say, and my gut tells me that you know what you're talking about, and I would trust you. That's good enough for me. That's the that's like the people who got the knee operation again. To segue back to that, they thought they'd got a knee operation. They thought they'd got the work done on them. That's good. If you trust that's what we're trying to do here, is to bring the person that you're buying the product from to life, because he's the person who's done the research. Can you trust the person? Do they know what they're talking about? Does it pass the smell test? And if so, try their products, because you're probably right. And that process of getting to a purchase is probably as good as the placebo of the effects of the actual product working on you at the same time, because your mind is telling you you're happy with your purchase. You're not having any regrets. Does that make sense, Clive?
Well, it's a big part of it, certainly. Um, yeah. Um, Sorry, I lost my train of thought there, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, I was just what I'm saying is that people, when they believe the person they're buying from, have a
Oh yeah.
confidence, and the confidence has a double impact of positivity on the product benefits as well.
Yeah, for sure. So with all these products, it's very important to do some personal research about them, because things like iodine are immensely powerful. And 150 years ago, when Professor Lugol was alive and created this particular very simple iodine formula, uh, he realized the power of what it could do. And at that point, they would commonly give milligram doses of iodine, which is what I recommend. But doctors are taught now, different to 150 years ago, that micrograms are what you need. And micrograms might stop you from dying, but they're not going to cure anything. Whereas milligram doses are a whole different ballgame. But if you were to say to a doctor, I'm taking 50 milligrams of Lugol's iodine, they would panic because that's against their training. But 100 years ago, that would be normal.
Yeah.
So what I've tried to do, unfortunately, on my website, I'm not allowed to say the truth about anything. I can't say what dose what dose you should take. I can't, or I can't go into any real detail about any of the benefits.
Yeah.
It's a real issue. They can lie all they like about jabs, but when it comes to a simple natural element like iodine, you're not allowed to say anything.
Yeah. And one of the viewers has asked this question as well. You might be able to answer that. I don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes, you can, because iodine is vital for the development of a baby. If, let's say, a woman is clinically low on iodine, so much so that a doctor picks it up, then the baby is in danger of being born a cretin. Cretinism is an iodine deficiency that's led to mental retardation in a baby. So, if somebody's pregnant and they want to have a high IQ baby, a clever baby, mum wants to make sure they've got enough iodine.
Yeah.
It's super important.
And how do you get that then? If you can't talk too much about doses and things, how do they? I take it people have to do their own. I mean, we're a community of
Yeah.
heavy researchers anyway, Clive. But to get
Yeah,
advice
I'm
on that
happy to
from
talk about
yourself,
it. It's just I can't put too much on the website.
right?
But essentially, it's like this: if 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 somebody has a thyroid issue, or temperature issue, thinking issue, skin issues, then they should research the work of Dr. Brownstein. He's got a book and a video called Iodine: Why You Need It, Why You Can't Live Without It. And it's an incredible book, incredible video. And he recommends that, he suggests that Japanese women who have almost no breast cancer, very little thyroid issues, hardly any menopausal issues, because they eat so much seaweed and sea fish that they get all the iodine they need from all the seaweed. He reckons that they eat about 12 milligrams of iodine on a daily basis. So 2 drops of Lugol's iodine in water is the equivalent of 12.5 milligrams. Then Dr. Brownstein says that taking 50 milligrams for a short period of time, a few weeks maybe, 5 days a week, along with the mineral selenium, can reverse most of the issues that we're talking about. And people notice the brain fog lifting. They
Yeah.
notice the dry skin ending, their body temperature evening up, and so on.
Yeah.
So it's you just don't want to take too much of it. You just don't. Yeah, I mean, like all these powerful materials, just getting it right is easy. And it's I do have a video called something like supplements, how much to take and when to take them, which is not on YouTube, but it's on all the other channels like Brand YouTube and so on. And I go
Right.
through how much to use.
Is it on your website as well? Or is it on BitChute? It's on
No,
your...
no, I can't put it. You see, this is it. I'm not allowed to put an instructional video on my website
Right,
because that
okay.
would be advertising.
Yeah. I had a website, a business before with a good friend of mine, and we got involved in electronic medicine. It was kind of Bob's Beck protocol. I don't know if you'd heard about it
Yeah,
before. You had the colloidal silver, magnetic pulsar. There was ozonated water there. Clive, we really studied it and thought it was great, and it had really good effects. But we had to bring it into the country as gardening equipment. You couldn't, you couldn't talk about it as anything else. And you've got a problem with this stuff as well, because you're up against the doctors who are saying to people, well, you know, your only option is chemo. And then they're saying, but then there's this guy saying that I can try something else, and it's gardening equipment. And, you know, you're in a sort of, you're between a rock and a hard place trying to communicate the benefits of this stuff. And I suppose it's just try it and see what you feel. You know, I tried magnesium and it sat very well with me. I know I liked the benefit of it. I need to get back to it. So you said there was 12 things, Clive, that 12 sort of basic minerals that you think. Now you've chosen so far the fulvic minerals, the iodine and magnesium. So they would be your three top picks if you could only pick three that you were going to start with to get some, you know, quick hits, quick benefits.
Well, if we increased it by one, I'd add vitamin C. You know, vitamin
Right.
C is the answer for the current infectious situation that's going around. Vitamin C is the answer for, I'm spelling it with a K, for cancer. It is huge. Vitamin C, there's a wonderful book by a medical doctor, Dr. Thomas Levy, a cardiologist, called Curing the Incurable, where he lists how vitamin C over the decades has been shown to reverse everything from polio to pneumonia to smallpox to anything that we consider infectious, the whole lot. And because food isn't fresh, we're all low on vitamin C. So it's just vital. Everybody's low on it. And I prefer just pure powder. Most vitamin C in the world is GMO. So I like non-GMO, pure powdered vitamin C. And my eyesight improved. That was the first thing I noticed. When I started taking vitamin C big time, for a while I was taking 10 grams a day, my eyesight got better. I was really surprised. Really
And
surprised.
is that an expensive product? You know, the iodine seems, you know, cheap enough entry point for everybody to be. I mean, there's absolutely no reason to miss out on the benefit of iodine at those prices. But there's other products which are more expensive for you to get what you need. You know, is that expensive then? So what are we looking at here? A pound, is that correct?
25 quid will buy you, you know, a pound in weight, half a kilo approximately. And let's say you are taking 5 grams a day, that would last you about 90 days.
90 days.
So 90 days for 25 quid, not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's 100 quid a year.
But if that, you know, I mean, I used to get colds every year. As soon as I started taking vitamin D in winter, I never got a cold again. But for most people, the reason they get colds is they're low on vitamin D in winter, they're low on vitamin C, and probably low on zinc. You know, if you've got enough vitamin C, zinc, and vitamin D, it's pretty hard to get a cold.
Yeah. And what are the most popular products then? Because you've got the shop, but you've also got the secret health club. Now, this our people will be able to resonate with this. Now, you've got a secret health club where you can talk about the things that you can't talk about on your website because it's a closed shop. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I started the Secret Health Club when the government started taking my videos down in 2014, and you know, I've got videos about Tesla, for example, which you know, you can only see behind the club because I don't want, you know, there's only one rule to join the Secret Health Club, which is you have to be in total favor of total health freedom. And that's the only rule, which means that the pharmaceutical industry isn't allowed in. They'd be breaking the first rule if they were allowed in. And so I've gathered together over the years articles and videos that I thought were key. I mean, absolutely key. So if you look up Parkinson's, for instance, you'll see all sorts of people saying, you know, I did this, that, and the other, and my Parkinson's got better. And you know, you see some of them doing it, you know, breathing in
Yeah.
hydroxy gas, for example,
Yeah.
taking cannabis oil.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. All of these things, yeah.
yeah,
And
and
that's
so
thing. I
so
mean, even in our chat room alone, we have a little community forum, I suppose, where we are talking just now. But the people who are members of your secret health club are probably people who take it fairly seriously. So I'd imagine that the information you would have access to in a community forum like that would be quite valuable as well. You know, when you look at the list of things that they're getting access to, all your years of research as well, plus access to that kind of forum. I mean, I would imagine people chatting, asking questions, answering questions for each other. You know, what did you try? What did you do? Is the forum fairly busy?
well, we've got about 2,000 people on the Telegram group, and every month I do an Ask Clive Anything session, which is a couple of
Right.
hours or so, where members can, on a Zoom meeting, just ask me anything that they like.
Mm-hmm.
And so we record those. So when you join up, there's months and months of those. So there's an awful lot of information. The page I like best is the one about babies and children.
Mm-hmm.
There's a video which shows how to hold a baby to stop it crying,
Mm-hmm.
how to position, for instance, a mobile. You know that mum and dad go out and buy a mobile for the baby, and they hang it right just above, so the baby can see it. This is a big mistake. Where you want to hang the mobile is behind the baby's head. So to see it, they have to lift their head up, and you can't hold your head up for very long before your eyes close and you go to sleep.
Ah, right.
And
Okay.
so there are videos, just simple things
Yeah. Yeah.
about how to make a drastic difference to your life. I mean, there's a video which shows that babies on the day they're born have language. A
Mm-hmm.
baby, no matter what country they're born in, can tell you if it's hungry, if it's tired, if it's in discomfort. Babies can speak within the minutes of being born, and so there's a video that teaches you how to hear those sounds that the babies make. Then there's a video of a friend of mine who teaches practitioners how to teach children to see without their eyes. She
Mm-hmm.
blindfolds children. You can see the video of this in real life. So totally blindfold, can't see a thing. Within 3 minutes, 5 minutes in some cases, she can teach children a new way of seeing, where they can write, they can play games, they can catch balls, they can paint, they can do anything you like that you normally do with your eyes. And when you ask the children how they're doing it, they say, we're using our inner light to see.
Mm-hmm.
Quite incredible. So that's what the Secret Health Club's about. I've been a YouTube addict for years, so you're seeing the fruits of my YouTube addiction. And
Yeah.
there are some videos that are just blow you away.
Well,
And a lot of
it's hours and hours of research to find something that's good. And if you're experienced in that area and you're promoting it and saying, "I'm putting my stamp to this. This is a good video. This is worth watching." You know, it's not all your work, is it? So you're some recommendations, high quality recommendations from you to say this is a video that will maybe change
Oh
your life
yeah,
for some people. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, most of it is other people's work.
Yeah.
Um, I've been incredibly lucky because over the years I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of experts in the health field, and for no money at all, I've been able to ask them any question I like. It's been incredible,
Yeah.
a free education from my point of view. And so, yeah, there's some, I'm riding on the shoulders of giants. There's the people on the Secret Health Club are mainly not mine, not my work, just the best in the field. There's a whole section on teeth, a whole section on eyesight. I mean, in Russia, for instance, there's a clinic now that claims they're reversing 80% of blindness. I
Hmm.
mean, massive, huge advances using combination of frequency devices, combination of light therapy, combination of peptides, which the Russian secret soldier project developed. There are a number of things now that are racing ahead, health wise. I mean, I did a video called Metasoma recently about a special polycosanol product, which is polycosanol is derived from sugar. It's an extract of sugar. And it's got 3 patents on it, this product. Normally, you can't patent a health product. You know, they don't allow that. But they did in this case because how the patent system works is if, let's say I showed you as the patent officer the instructions as how to make this product and seeing exactly how it's made, if you couldn't guess what the results would be, then you can get a patent. So the patent on this product covers things like kidney disease, eczema, psoriasis, prostate cancer, I think liver cancer, I can't remember. So it's this product which is made from sugar, which appears to be having the most outrageous effects. I had a client a couple of months ago who was consulting me for her son, who I think was maybe 17. And since very early, the doctors have said that your son has a genetic defect which is incurable and it's just going to get worse. 3 days after trying this, the kids are totally changed. Total change in 3 days. Another client who said that their blood pressure had normalized in 24 hours.
So the answers are out there, and it's not. I mean, not every solution or every product solves the problem for every person.
Exactly.
But but there are more natural ways to do it. There are ways where you can increase the odds of it working, and it's about getting the right advice. So again, so people can visit the clivedecarle.com website. They can read more about you. They can check out your Telegram, Facebook. Are you on Facebook or just Telegram?
Well, when I put up a Facebook post, maybe 8 people will see it.
Right.
So it's the same with I used to get lots of views on YouTube and Facebook and so on, but now I get a tenth of what I used to.
Yeah.
If that.
So it's about people this is that they're trying to, that's why it's a secret health club, because they're trying to suppress the things that they don't want you to hear, which tends to be they don't want you to hear the truth. So there's probably a lot of truth in there for a lot of people. There's a lot of good information on the website anyway that people can go to. You've got your videos there on YouTube, so people can watch a bit more of this kind of conversation where you're doing a lot of interviews and things like that, Clive. And then they can visit the shop, make their mind up. We're going to get you a page on Awakened Pages as well, because again, our awakened economy is a great target market for the products and services that you have there. And it's right up their street. It's the kind of thing that they're looking for. So yeah, we'll get that sorted out for you as well. But that's us just after the 8 o'clock mark now, and I don't like to keep people too long. So I think we've covered pretty much. Sorry if we couldn't answer any questions for any of the viewers, but I think we've covered pretty much most of what we would have wanted to. Is there anything else that you would like to say, Clive, before we wrap up?
Well, in the chat, somebody's just talking about the various different seaweeds that are around the world, and we're in Scotland in particular here. And I think I'm right in saying that every seaweed is edible.
Right.
And I've just picked some up on the beach and eaten it, and quite often it's been great.
Good.
Super important food, actually.
Yeah. And that's why these different countries with different food sources have got very different health. You'd think they'd spend, you look at the money they can spend in this pandemic, and they never wanted to study why people in Japan might not have heart attacks, or all of these different things. Like, why is the health so different? They never spent money bringing that information to us and giving us those solutions.
I've just been trying to import a couple of supplements, only to find that they're banned in England and Europe. It's super annoying. Quite a few of the products I used to sell that were really popular now are illegal.
Yeah, no, this is why people getting their own seeds, vegetables with seeds, as you said, natural heirloom type vegetables and seeds. This is what we need to do. Get these victory gardens, get these supplements, and start buying organic from the local farm shop, and grow it if you can't grow it yourself, or buy it off your neighbour if they're good at it. If they're better at it, you do something for them. You paint their fence, they give you access. There's different ways we can trade off with each other in this world. I think that's what they used to do, and I think it's probably heading a bit more towards something like that anyway. Listen, Clive, thank you especially for your time tonight. I do appreciate it, and we will get you set up on Awakened pages, and we'll give you a good nudge out there to the awakened economy that is growing every single day, which is good. We've got new members every day, and they're keen and they're fed up with the soulless organisations. They want their wallet is a weapon, Clive, and they're going to fire at will, and support the right people for once, and it will make a big economic counterpunch to the powers that be.
Well, that's great. And crypto, of course, is a way forward as a tool for freedom. And I'm happy to take crypto, because if everybody took crypto, the job would be done. The governments would be able to pay the wages of anybody.
Yeah, well, I've got another meeting coming up with an expert in that space as well. So all of these things, we have all the tools. We just need to pull them together, and the desire is there. We're pushing against an open door now, Clive. The people want it. So but we need to move quickly. We can't sleepwalk through this stuff. But listen, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I do hope to chat with you again. And if you hang back, you and I have a quick chat, and the recording of this will be available for anybody who couldn't make it at 7, and you can watch it tonight or any time over the weeks and months ahead. Okay, so thanks for that.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.